All right, traders, this is the watch list video for Thursday, March 9th. The SPY, you can hardly see the daily candle behind the moving averages. Zoom in a little bit here for you. So narrow range, let's look at the intraday and complete sideways chop all day. Then it looked like it was rolling over and then ended up closing pretty much flat, maybe a little bit up. So a very, very boring day. I literally made most of my money in two stocks. And let's see, one of them was Tops. Took a couple pullback plays in that one. And then the other one was Edible, EDBL, which you can see closed kind of ugly. It gave that inside fives we look for. So that this is the opening 5-minute candle, gave that inside fives, and it was off to the races. Also, a couple pullback plays if you did that too. But that's where I think that might be the only two stocks I traded all day. Kevin M and Joe's gave an idea on MAXN. Both of them kind of middle of the day gave the idea back through 26, right? So it was kind of looking like this. Then the 26 break ended up going all the way to 27. Slow and steady climb, but it wasn't a lot of risk based on where we put the stops too. So it was a nice little heads up. But that's it. It was really pretty much a boring day. What are we watching for tomorrow? First, if you're new, pause the video and read that. It explains what this is all about. I'm not going to go into it here. So MAXN, I already talked about that one. It looks like a very nice breakout. Hang on, let me get this out of the way. Topped around 27, and you do have a high from September of basically, I'll round up, it says 27.99, basically 28. So maybe we get an open below 27, then today's high, a break of today's high tomorrow could be a potential catalyst, and we all know then a possible break of 28 could be another chart catalyst. There I am panning way out, but certainly record volume today. So this one has a good chance to continue. I believe it gapped up on earnings. AZUL, after these big 2 days, just put in a very, very narrow range. So I'm going to keep that on a chart tomorrow. I already mentioned TOPS. But I have to zoom way in, and it closed way off its highs. It topped out at 125 before closing at 105. But I always say it doesn't cost me anything to put something on a chart. So that one will be on a chart. So will SINT. Again, I'll zoom in a little bit. You can kind of see there the big volume and a pretty strong close. But I'm not sure that this one had news. Tops did have a headline, so at least that made me, like it a little better than SINT today. But we'll see. That one's going to go on a chart too. DM just had a nice gap up here, and it's been slowly climbing ever since. Put in a red day with kind of like, that shooting star look. And then right back up. So it's just got really nice relative strength. So I do want to keep that on a chart too. KALA had the gap up. Then looked like it was rolling over. And then today, a nice pop. Actually took out the high from the gap up day briefly on an intraday basis. But it's holding up well enough. And it did this back here. As a day trader, you want to have something like that on a chart. Just make sure any setups y'all take in the chat room, make sure it's A+, because that one can be pretty whippy. Arlo. Big volume and a very strong close. Maybe a follow-through setup tomorrow. AM had the big rip, then a quiet inside day. It was on watch coming into today. I never did trade it today. And if you look at the intraday, there was just nothing. I mean, maybe a gap down bounce play right there over the 5-minute high back through 9, but I wasn't watching it for that. And it's just pure chop ever since. So I don't know. I'm not in love with it, but I am going to keep it on a chart. You could argue after this big rip here, it's holding up pretty well, right? TDUP, looking for a third day play. Had the big breakout on earnings, quiet inside day on much lower volume. I'm looking for a third day setup there. RIGL had the gap up, sold off, but ended up closing kind of close to the highs. So we're going to watch that one. WW is Weight Watchers, which had the big pop. Quiet inside day, looking for a third day play there too. I like this one a little less so because it's so far off of yesterday's highs that you do have kind of a bag holder situation. I would prefer these inside red candles to be a little higher inside this candle, if that makes any sense. But again, doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. Maybe gives us an A+ setup and a nice trade. AI had the big gap up here on earnings and then topped out right around 30 bucks. Now you've got 3 days lower on declining volume, so that one may be ready to turn back up. And then lastly, I'm going to put ASAN on watch, which there's nothing interesting about this chart, but in after hours, I believe they reported earnings. And as I'm talking to you, it's trading at 22.70. So potential gapper tomorrow because of the earnings. We'll find other gappers in the pre-market as well. And keep in mind, what we do here, in case somebody's watching the video for the first time, the short version is I log in every day trying to make money that day. None of this is investment advice. It's all based on starting with the daily charts to find stuff that's in play, but then we go to intraday charts to find those low risk A+ setups that hopefully will make us some money each and every day. I'm done babbling. We'll see you in the chat room in the morning.